Welcome to another episode of Beer Man's No Bull Beer Reviews. Today I have another beer from Oxbow Brewing Company out of... I know they're in Maine, but I don't remember exactly where. Oh, Newcastle and Portland, Maine. So I've done things from Oxbow before on this channel. I've also... But one of the reasons I bought this is because it's actually a collaboration with Flora. And they're two of my favorite sour beer producers. I know a lot of times collaborations end up being like lesser than the sum of the parts, but based just on the description of this beer and knowing it was between those two, I had to buy it. So it's called Open Air. It's kind of hard to read there because the letters aren't closed out, but it just says blended farmhouse ale with fruit. Bottled April 2018. Production time 30 months. And then on the back it says Open Air is a blend of Saison fermented outdoors in a Coolship and Spontaneous farmhouse ale aged on estate cherries and raspberries. This beer was produced in collaboration with Fonta Brewery. Features 100% Maine ingredients. And this is 6.5 ABV. So basically it's a blend of like a mixed culture Coolship Saison and a spontaneously fermented beer aged on cherries and raspberries. So, and done, I'm just grabbing this to try to warm it up just a little bit. It's kind of cold for my liking, but I'll let it warm up as I'm drinking it. Yeah, I mean, to me that sounded like a no-brainer to buy this, even though it was expensive. Because that sounds like a great beer for any decent sour brewery. Between these guys, I'm expecting a lot of great things. So let's crack it open and see what we got. It's really odd. I don't know if that was picked up on the camera or not, but it felt like one of the light bulbs. Sorry, I keep looking up. One of the light bulbs in my chandelier above me got brighter. I don't know why that happened. Anyways, yeah. As you can see, this pours a slightly cloudy, say darker pink to red color. It had a very small white head that dissipated really quickly, and it seems pretty carbonated, so that's probably why. Man. So I will say that the cherry seems to take precedent over the raspberry, at least in what I'm smelling. I do get the raspberry a little bit too, though. But no joke, like this smells like a legitimate, like creek or framboise or framboesa, whatever you want to call it, like traditional fruited lambic. It's pretty crazy. The fruit is like so in your face, but it has legitimate like funky cheese, like manure character to it. I gotta taste this. There's so much going on in that. It's really interesting because I can kind of pull out threads of each brewery in this beer. I would say it's on the Oxbow level of acidity, which, in my opinion, for most of their stuff is a little less than Fauna Flora, which makes sense because it was brewed at Oxbow. But it's just like the fruit is so effervescent. It's really strange. Like it's not. I don't want to say it's not jammy at all. Um, I'm just trying to pin my palate on the flavors I'm getting out of this because it's really unique. It's not. It's a little different than the aroma is. So, like I said, the fruit is really like effervescent. Like it's certainly there and it's the driving flavor, but it's also really light. I think maybe because it's not very acidic and not that sour that it doesn't seem as strong. There's a ton of underlying funk. It's kind of like the aroma made me think more of like lambic-esque. Excuse me. The flavor is kind of, I would say, more of American wild funk. You know, kind of in that realm of very minerally and like wet rock character that I think Fauna Flora and Oxbow both have a good bit of. But there is there's a level of depth that I don't get in a lot of fruited sours, American fruited sours that this has. But it's not really like lambic either. It's just like, honestly, it kind of reminds me of if I know when Hill Farmstead does some of their fruited saisons, they generally take like not the bad batches, but the not as good batches of the saisons and fruit them. This kind of reminds me of that, but they didn't do it with the bad batches. They did it with like the best ones. It kind of tastes like if you took art, like batch one art, which is really funky, really minerally, kind of like tepid water almost, and didn't let it not necessarily sit on fruit, but just like strained it through, just like half cut and over ripened raspberries and cherries. So it's not like completely saturated in the fruit character, but it definitely leaves its presence. That's kind of what I'm getting out of this. It has a pretty complex bouquet of flavors, but it's not. It's definitely not in the lambic realm like I was getting in the aroma. That is really funky. But it's not like manure funk. It's like I said, it's kind of like the tepid water, like extreme minerality funk. I really really like it, but I could see people hating it because it is. I mean, it's pretty deep in the funk that it has, and it's not like a lot of other beers. But I'm really glad that they did this. I like it a lot. And I think the fact that it's called open air, I think it's, really supposed to showcase how, like, the spontaneous fermentation, that, and the crazy flavors you can really get from that. So, yeah, so this was like $22 for this 500 milliliter, which is like slightly more expensive than most Oxbow stuff is. Their stuff is not cheap, but I think most of the time it's worth it. Excuse me. I say I'm gonna call this a buy. And again, the only reason I'm doing it, like have to think about it for a second, is because of the price. But It's not even that it's like my favorite sour that I've had in a long time. It's just really, really unique, and it has a ton of depth. And I also like the fact that it's not like it's a little puckering up in the front of the tongue, but it has no burn acidity in the back at all. So I could drink a lot of this, but it's just kind of weird. It's weird. I don't think that there's like any necessarily any flaws to it, but it's just kind of odd, and I don't know that I would purchase this every day, but I think it's worth buying for anyone who has not had it. I bought 2 bottles of it, so I'm certainly not upset that I have another one. But I don't think I would run out and buy a case of this because it's just odd, and I feel like it would have to be in the right occasion have the right people there to appreciate it. The people who just like generally like heavily fruited sours probably are not going to like this because it's on its own platform. But I'm still calling this a buy. And if you like the super funky Hill Farmstead stuff, like the really minerally stuff, I would definitely go out and try to get this. And if you're a fan of either one of these brewers, you'll appreciate it. So that's all I got on this guy. Please like, comment, subscribe. Let me know what you think, and I look forward to doing the next one. Thanks.